Tori. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to talk about digital transformation project kickoff meetings and why Victoria Fide places such a strong emphasis on them. But first, why don't you give a brief introduction of yourself and your company?
Sure. Okay. I'm Tory Bjorklund. I'm the CEO of Victoria Fide. And as a company, we combine industry best practices with business prowess to help companies succeed in leveraging technology for positive transformational change. So I've been doing this for a long time. I've been involved with several digital transformations, close to 40 years, 38 years or something like that. And I've spent the last 10 years, or even longer, just studying why so many projects fail and what does it take to for companies to achieve consistent success rather than failure.
Hmm. So when we're talking about project kickoff meetings, when companies embark on large digital transformation initiatives, it's pretty common to do a project kickoff meeting with swag, free food, inspiring speeches from project leaders and company executives. Does all this rah-rah really matter? Or is it just a way for companies to make themselves look good?
Well, providing food helps get people to show up. So, but it's a little of both, but it really does make a big difference. I mean, I've been in several of these kickoff meetings, and and the real intention is to provide kind of kick off the motivation of people, motivate people, and to get some momentum built up. And so there's just a certain amount of emotional investment that you want the team members and stakeholders to make in this project. And when I was in school and high school and stuff, we used to have pep rallies, and some people complained about them and whatnot, but it did get people fired up for the game. And when they showed up to the game, they showed up excited, and that raised the I guess the excitement level and investment of the team out on the field. And so that's something that I think this really does do. The other thing that it does is it really helps to provide information. People are wondering, why are we doing this? How long is it going to take? What are we trying to accomplish with this? It can answer a lot of those questions to help people that aren't so emotional maybe about it, but that have really reasonable and logical questions. It can help address those as well.
Yeah, that's good. It helps get everyone on the same page, you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good. So, in the latest article of our digital transformation roadmap series, we meet Lucy, who's a procurement manager, and she's attending a project kickoff meeting for her company's latest digital transformation initiative. She's pretty skeptical that the proposed changes will actually benefit her team, and she doubts that the company will be able to successfully implement the initiative. Have you encountered someone like Lucy before? And how can a project kickoff meeting help to address those concerns that she has?
Yeah, I have. I've encountered several Lucys, although most of the time they're men, actually. The the I've encountered a lot of very skeptical guys. So I use an example of a guy. I'll call him Bruce. That wasn't his name. His real name was, no, I'm kidding. I'll call him Bruce.
We can beep it out.
Yeah. So anyway, he was involved in the ERP in an ERP selection, and he was very major stakeholder and a subject matter expert, really, that was brought in specifically into the company specifically to bring his expertise in engineering. It was an engineering company, an engineer to order company. And he was brought in to bring his expertise into the engineering department and help to automate that. And so he was heavily involved in the ERP selection, and he did not like the selection that the committee made. And so he was convinced from the very beginning that this project was not going to be successful because the software, in his words, was crap. Um, but the reality was that the ERP software was selected for a lot of reasons, not just engineering.
Mm.
And the reality was, after engineering did their job and they ended up with a bill of material, they ended up with routes, and production took over, and the production modules were shop floor control and other modules were very robust, and the financial models or modules did what the company needed. And so there were a lot of really good reasons for that selection of that product. Um, so, so this guy, Bruce, we're calling him, started out very skeptical. And when the kickoff came, one of the things was that he was asked to make a presentation. And as he was putting together the presentation, um, he was trying to be a team player and, kind of,
Mm.
he was never a rah-rah guy, no matter what, I mean, you could hardly tell if he was excited about something. So he wasn't going to be rah-rah. But when he was putting together that presentation, he came to realize the bigger picture
Mm.
and how this was really going to move the ball forward for the automation of the company overall. And that really the things he didn't like about it weren't that bad. It's just that he felt like there was another product that would be better from an engineering perspective. And it
Mm.
just really helped him. So even helped him orient, his thinking. So even just the having those detractors involved in the process of talking about the benefits and or sometimes hearing about the other benefits and so forth that's outside of their lane, so to speak, really
Mm.
does help. Now, does the rah-rah help? Yeah, I think it does for some people. For some of the people like, uh, Bruce, it doesn't make a lot of difference, but definitely the information can help people get on board or at least help them set aside their bias against the project long enough to take a wait and see attitude. And that's what I saw from
Mm.
Lucy. She's just kind of in that article, she's kind of like, yeah, well, we'll see. Um,
Mm.
but she's not against it. She's just skeptical.
Mm. I think the story that you shared is a really good example of how change is personal and everyone approaches it differently and also approaches it with a what's in it for me kind of attitude.
Yeah,
Um,
for
so
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and that was the thing that with Bruce, it was, he wasn't getting what he wanted,
Hmm.
and that's all he saw. But as soon as he was focused on the overall bigger picture, he realized that, this could be a really good thing for the company.
Mm. So, as a trusted advisor for end-to-end digital transformation initiatives, Victoria Fide has been brought in during critical times to help rescue struggling projects. When it comes to avoiding these problems, is it important to acknowledge the elephant in the room, so to speak, and openly talk about known challenges and risks with the project team before embarking on the project?
Yeah, probably the most effective way to do that is to just call out Lucy and say, Lucy, I know you're, no, I'm kidding. You don't want to do that. But yes, you need to realize ahead of time, before the project kickoff meeting, you need to know who your skeptics are, what their concerns are, what the questions are, and you need to address those head on in the kickoff presentation. You need to acknowledge, hey, I know that some of you are really questioning the value of this or whatever. And that, by the way, is done through surveys ahead of time. And, there's OCM practices, organizational change management practices, that if you put them into place and you're working that organizational change management ahead of time before the kickoff, throughout the preparation of the project and getting the feel for the room, so to speak, when you are making that presentation, you can address those things head on. And if nothing else, even just simply asking for people to take a wait and see attitude. We know that you're not bought in on this, maybe you're not necessarily convinced, but we are convinced. Give us a chance to convince you through this process. And here's what the process will look like. And here's what you should expect to see. Here's what you can expect from us from a communication perspective, et cetera. Here's how we're going to be transparent and so forth. And just really addressing those concerns right up front, that is going to at least help people keep from becoming impediments to the project, and hold off their negativity anyway. And so a healthy skepticism isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can help make the project better if they're asking good questions. But you can enroll people that are skeptics, at least in a wait and see, and give us the reasons, why it might not be a good idea, so we can clearly address those issues.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for expanding on that. This has been a really great conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time. If people want to read the full chapter 1 of our execute stage in the digital transformation roadmap, you can find a link in the description below. And I hope you'll join us next time.
Thank you, Camilla.
Thanks.